it's Jessica. Welcome and welcome back to the Not Carrie Bradshaw YouTube channel. In this video, we are discussing Season 3, Episode 5 of The Gilded Age. We are cruising right along in my endeavor to catch up between summering, me trying to be outside. My birthday was last week. I've fallen behind, but I'm here. Don't cuss me out. Don't yell at me, okay? God, I can hear you from here. We have so much to get through in this episode. The previous episode I felt like was filler, and I see why. This is why I appreciate great pacing in a show. I knew that the show, wasn't going to completely come to a halt or anything, but I do appreciate a nice flow. We're not like on a constant, it's not like Scandal or, the last season of Game of Thrones where it was just like hit after hit after hit. I appreciate when we get a little bit more exposition. Everything isn't so climactic. So this episode gave us a lot to sink our teeth into, so let's get right into it. George is projecting real bad. Not too much on Bertha. Not too much on Bertha, okay? Did Bertha do way too much manipulation in terms of getting Gladys and her bangs the fuck up out of here and across the pond to marry that Duke? Absolutely. However, George, it is not Bertha's fault that you have run out of money, that JP Morgan pulled out his investment. You done fired poor Clay because he can't get these folks in Morenci to give up their life's work. And you put Gladys's dowry up for this railroad expansion that we don't know if you're going to be able to make happen. Then you ask Bertha to seduce this man into investing. She does what she's supposed to do. It makes you feel like a cuckold. So you're mad at her for both flirting too much but not flirting well enough to execute the deal. Baby, you're not gonna just lay all this on her lap. And then when he said, let me read the specific quote. He said, I don't have time to soothe your guilt or calm your fears. I said, George is big mad. He said, baby, I didn't ask you about your social calendar. I asked you how my baby is doing across the pond. Because we don't really know how she doing. We ain't heard from her. She ain't called to say, cat, dog, go to hell, kiss my ass or nothing. And you just trying to act like everything is okay. I feel like in a way, he probably thinks that Bertha doesn't care enough. Like she just wanted her out of the house. And I'm concerned that Bertha's not more concerned because that sister was trouble off rip. And you should have a little bit more concern for how she's doing out there. Like, Gladys has led a very sheltered life. Gladys is not Bertha. I hope she finds some Bertha in her, but Gladys and her bangs are not Bertha. So switching back to George, he decides to ask Larry to go out to Morenci to see if he can convince these miners to give up the land because that will help move things along for this railroad expansion. And Larry said, well, baby, what's in it for me? And George was like, well, you are my heir, so whatever I get will soon become yours. And we did see that Larry is a capable negotiator in his business dealings with Jack and the Clock, so maybe he's up for it. He also finally proposed, well, he tells his parents, he tells George that he's going to propose to Marianne, and George is like, let me worry about your mammy. You've chosen well, go do what you got to do. Because from George's perspective, he was horrified at what he basically coerced Gladys into doing at the behest of her mother. He doesn't want to do that with yet another kid. And Larry, by virtue of being a boy in patriarchy, he has a little bit more pull over what he decides to do. And he's a boy, so he doesn't really need their consent like that to marry who he wants to marry. So we're thrilled that Marianne, that they finally are moving things along. Because it was just like, I'm not going to sit around here and wait for y'all to do this for another season. Let's wrap that part up. Now, I want to know why Agnes made that face when they revealed the engagement. I think it's because she felt a little bit left out or betrayed that Marianne wasn't more straightforward with her, that she was interested in Larry in that way. But it's like, you don't get to treat people with this level of contempt and disdain and also expect for them to be open and vulnerable with you. That's just not how that works. I also think that Agnes is really flailing for control. Like, since she's not the HBIC in the house in terms of the money, she feels left out. She feels that she has no authority. So now she decides that it's her business just how much money Jack made from the sale of the clock. And it's like, in a way, I can understand you wanting to know that, but in another way, it's like, baby, you got to find you something else to do, because that don't really seem like it's none of your business. As long as, here's what if Jack just want to stay there and keep working anyway? Is he not allowed to do that? Like, he can't be rich and work? Whose business is it? Like, why is you mad about that? But again, I think when people sense that they have lost control, they will project that anywhere that they can. So we shouldn't be surprised, but I am annoyed. And I also want to say I'm really happy that Aunt Ada got some relief from her grieving over the loss of her husband from the fortune teller. Because to be honest, it's like a lot of the spiritualists, of course, were con artists, but is it such a bad thing to just tell someone what they want to hear, just to kind of get them over the hump of grief, of, if I could just say one last thing, if I could just know that this person wants me to move on. Like, I'm sorry, but I think that it was worth it for her to charge with, like, 20 cents or whatever, to give that woman that little bit of relief. And so now she want to wear a little bit more color. She want to like come out of her mourning phase a little bit more. And I love that for her. Now again, Gladys and her bangs are not doing well in this castle filled with rats. Okay. The Duke is not standing up for her like he should as her husband. Like, you done brought me all the way over here. You done conned my daddy out of all this money. The least he could do is protect me. Baby, let me tell you how HBO has rewired the chemistry of my brain. Okay? As a Game of Thrones stan, except for the last season, we'll talk about the last season, I'm expecting for Lady Sarah to have a very unfortunate accident very soon. Between Game of Thrones and Scandal, when I watch certain shows and there's a character that's a problem, I'm like, off with her head. Like, what are we waiting on? Like, I have to remember this isn't that show, but this is HBO. She needs to, you know what I mean? Maybe take a long walk off a short cliff. Okay? Because who is you talking to? Then you don't want to try to like fire this girl's maid. Unfortunately, Gladys was able to get a letter to her pappy. So he's like, I told you, I knew you was out here messing up. I knew she wasn't happy. I got to go figure out what's going on with my daughter. And you out here playing. I understand George's frustration. I understand his fear about his baby girl, but I also feel that this is a bit of projection over his own fears and anxieties, over his business failing, because this is a lot of money to potentially lose. And it's hinging upon whether or not Larry is successful in negotiating. So fingers crossed for Larry, because he need to be able to take care of our girl Mary Ann, honey. Peggy running into Mr. Fortune at this baseball game. The tension, my God, today. And I appreciate that Dr. Kirkland, he's a good man, Savannah, a good man. And it is ironic that I'm saying that about Dr. Kirkland and not about Mr. Fortune. If you know, you know about where that quote comes from. Because a lot of people be saying it and have no idea the reference point. And that frustrates me. But I digress. I appreciate that Dr. Kirkland was perceptive enough to know that he needed to encourage Peggy to stand her ground, because Mr. Fortune was trying to use this as another opportunity to be alone with our girl Peggy. Okay, we know what she was trying to do, and I'm glad Peggy didn't fall for it, and I'm also glad that Dr. Kirkland was there to back her up. He was ready to step behind our girl, and we love to see it. The bird in me, the little bit of a bird in me, absolutely loved it. Okay, picked up that suitcase and said, and now what? You know, not my girl, not today. She going by herself and she ain't going to die. She damn sure ain't going with you. What's up? What you want to do? Okay. And then a part of me kind of felt a little bit embarrassed for Mr. Fortune, because he really did get sunned. Can we also talk about Mary Ann, like low-key blowing up the spot? I cannot stand when a person can't read the room. Mary Ann, this is neither the time nor the place. And Aunt Agnes was like, what you talking about? What's going on here? Girl, shut up. So irritating. Y'all, why is Maud beaten in the whorehouse? Now, I'm not a scammer, despite where I'm from. I'm not a scammer. But I feel like you're not supposed to return to the scene of the crime, okay? You worked Oscar Van Ryn out of his money. Shouldn't you have skedaddled elsewhere? Now you in the whorehouse where, I'm sorry, but it's not like you're wearing a disguise. So Larry goes and tells Oscar, like, hey, I seen your girl, just FYI. And I want to know what Oscar is intending to do with this information. And shouts out to John Adams for holding him accountable, because he was like, hey, I get that what she did to you was messed up, but you was also trying to scam her. Okay, you were going to lure her into an unconsenting lavender marriage, honey. And John Adams said, yes, she took your money, but she would have took her whole life. And that's a real friend. That's why we fuck with John Adams. He's a real friend, because a real friend is going to hold your hand with a napkin and hold you accountable. Because what is you talking about? Like, yeah, it was devastating, but your hands aren't clean here either, sir. Um, y'all, poor Aurora. I feel so bad for poor Aurora. I'm hoping that because he was the, she said that he's the adulterer and she gets the homes, maybe this is going to be like a landmark case or something, like a new precedent set with divorces for women, because she is still getting the shit end of the social stick out in Newport, because she has to leave Mamie Fish's luncheon, like the first luncheon of the season. And shouts out to Bertha. Bertha is a real one, because Bertha was like, no, she don't have to go nowhere. Y'all need to quit playing with my girl. Let her just come to lunch. And basically, Mrs. Fish has to kowtow to Mrs. Astor. And I appreciate Mrs. Fish saying, like, hey, if you are going to shun her from society for getting a divorce, you're going to have to eventually shun your own daughter, because we're all playing it real cute and casual right now about the fact that your daughter had two men about to duel over her. If you're going to do it to her, we going to do it to your daughter too, so you better make a decision. I appreciate Mrs. Fish for laying down the law. I really, really do. And also glad that Marianne, was just like, I don't even need to be here because I got a man at home, Shantae Moore. I can just escort her home. Like, I don't even have to be here with y'all. I wonder if Bertha will come around to Marianne, but I'm also like, who do you think is good enough for Larry? And why do you think Larry's so good anyway to begin with? He all right. He all right. So let me see. Is that everything? Y'all, this was such a heavy, dense episode. I'm thrilled with it, and I can't wait to watch episode 6. I promise I'm catching up this week, y'all, so come back, check in with me. Be sure to like and comment and subscribe and share. Let me know what y'all think about the episode. Don't put no spoilers in the comments, y'all. I promise I'm going to catch up. Don't yell at me. Okay, talk soon. Bye.